Hello everyone, welcome back to AutomationEdge tutorial. In our last two videos of Google Finance use case, we saw how to fetch stock price for single stock symbol and how to fetch stock price for multiple stock symbols using loop functionality. If you haven't seen them, the link is in description below. In this video, again we are going to see how to fetch stock price for multiple stock symbols using parent-child workflow relationship. In addition to this, we will also see how to handle the error or exception if there is any false value present in our input file. Let's start with the implementation of workflow. This is the workflow we have created in Google Finance Part 1 video to fetch stock price of a single stock symbol. Now I'm going to convert this in parent-child workflow relationship. In other words, I will put repetitive steps in child workflow and call that workflow n number of times depending on the number of rows. For that, first of all, I'm going to create two workflows and save them with appropriate name. Creating workflow 1, saving it, wf_parent, and creating second workflow, wf_child. Now I'm going to cut these three repetitive steps from here and paste them into the child workflow. Rest of the steps in parent workflow, like this. Now to call the child workflow, we have a step called workflow executor. Drag and drop it, connect it with the previous step and with the next one. Now here we need to select the second option, that is, this output will contain the result rows after execution. This means that whatever the output is coming from the child workflow, that output is going to write into the Excel file. Now double click on the workflow executor step, give appropriate name to your step. Here we need to write the path of your child workflow. You can click on browse to locate the path of your child workflow, or you can directly copy and paste the path here. Click on OK. After this, go to child workflow and double click on webset value step. Click on drop down. You can notice that there is no values present in the drop down. So we need to pass column values from parent workflow to the child workflow. For that, we need to create runtime parameters in child workflow and map them into the parent workflow. So for creating runtime parameters, we need to double click on the workspace area of workflow, go to parameters tab and start typing the name of your parameter. RTP_company name. RTP stands for runtime parameter. Give display name. This name will display on the AutomationEdge server after the deployment of workflow on that. Select type of your parameter. Yes, it is runtime. This is not a secret one and also not a optional one. Provide next parameter also, that is stock symbol. Give display name. Select type. This is a runtime parameter. This is not a secret one and also this is not the optional one. Click on OK. After this, we need to map runtime parameters in parent workflow. Before that, you need to save your child workflow properly. So press Ctrl S from the keyboard, go to parent workflow, click on workflow executor step and click on get parameters button. You can notice that the parameters which we have created in child workflow, those are available here. In field to use column, you need to select appropriate column name from input file with the respective runtime parameter. This is how we are passing column values from parent workflow to the child workflow. Click on OK to complete the configuration. Now go to child workflow and let's check the drop down is populated or not. Double click on the step and click on drop down. No, still it is not populated with the respective parameters because we need to make runtime parameters to be available in the workflow stream. For that, we need to use get variable step. Drag and drop it and connect it with the next step. Double click on this to configure the properties. Give appropriate name to your step. You can compare these variable as a local variable. Create two local variable. One is for company name and another is for stock symbol. You can take any appropriate name. Give name GV underscore company name and the variable you want to map with it. The variable name is RTP underscore company name. So you can notice that there is a dollar sign. So wherever the dollar sign is present, that means you can access your runtime parameters in that particular field. So to access runtime parameters, you need to press Ctrl space from the keyboard. It will give you the list of the runtime parameters. Now the name of my runtime parameter starts with R. So press R from the keyboard and you can see that the parameter is available in the drop down. So select that parameter and provide the type of your parameter. That is string. I am giving prefix as GV just to create difference between local variable and runtime parameters. Same here, press Ctrl space from the keyboard, press R, and this is the runtime parameter I want to map with the local variable and provide the type of your variable and click on OK. Save your workflow properly. Now double click on website value step and click on drop down. And you can check now this drop down is populated. So we need to select appropriate local variable name. So that is GV underscore stock symbol. Click on OK. Now the last thing is left in child workflow is that whatever the result we are going to get from the child workflow, we need to pass that result to the parent workflow so that result can be write to an Excel file. So for that we have a step called copy rows to the result. Drag and drop it and connect it with the previous step. Double click on it. There is no properties to configure with it. So basically these two local variables and one output field from this step is going to pass to the parent workflow. So go to parent workflow, double click on OTF stock data step and we need to mention those local variable name and output field here like this. And simply click on OK. Now we are ready to execute our workflow. Before that we need to save our workflow. It is opening the browser. It is running for the first row. Now for the second row. And now for the third row. You can check your output file. This is the output file we have. And you can check the column names also. So after this, let's see how to handle exception if we have any false value in our input file. Go to Process Studio, double click on your input step, delete the previous file and browse the another one. Click on Preview Rows. This is the data we have in our input file. You can notice that at the second row I am having some false value. So let's see how to handle this exception. But before handling exception, I want to run this as it is. So I'm saving my workflow and executing it once again without handling the exception. Starting the browser, running for first row, now running for the second row, the invalid data. It will take a bit longer because it is trying to fetch the stock price with the related stock symbol. You can notice that it is giving me error. We can check the error in logging tab. This is the error, that unable to find the element having XPath. So of course this XPath is not present because there is no stock price available for that particular stock symbol on the web page. So to avoid this kind of situation, we need to handle the exception. Let's see how to handle this. There is n number of ways to handle the exception. First is we have a step called dummy. So you can simply drag and drop it and connect it with the workflow executor step and select that it is your error handling step. So whatever the false value is coming from the workflow executor step, that false value will directly redirect to this dummy step, and the correct values is going to write it into the Excel file. So you can save your workflow and let's try to run it again. It is running for first row, running for the second row. Now after handling the exception, it shouldn't stop after this invalid input. It will try to fetch stock price for that, but if it is not available, then it will go forward for the next row. Now it is running for the third row and for the fourth row. So you can notice that our workflow is not stopped between due to the false input. So this is how we can handle the exception. We have another step also to handle the exception, that is write to log. Drag and drop it, disconnect this connector from here and connect it with write to log. Select error handling of the step, delete this one, double click on it. You can give appropriate name, error handling step. Now you can select the log level from here, that is error message you want to write, the minimal one, the basic one, the detailed one, or the debug. So let's select this basic one only, and whatever the message you want to write into your log file. So let's suppose I'm writing, this is the error occurring in workflow, and simply click on OK. Save your workflow and execute it once again. It is starting the browser, running for the first row, now for the second row, now for the third row, and now for the fourth row. Now to check your error file or to check your log file of your Process Studio, so you need to go to your Process Studio distribution folder. Double click on the log folder and the first file. Scroll down and you can notice that this is the error we have. This is the message we have written in the step, and this is the value which is creating the error. With this demo, we have completed our Google Finance use case. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned with our AutomationEdge channel.